I have dreams, I have hopes, I have learned things, and I have grown in ways I didn't think I was capable of. But I still don't know how to start. The start is always the hardest part, because starting asks you to give something up. It asks you to let go of a comfort and allow yourself to be in the lows. And this is what the lows look like. I look down and I see it, the shape of someone who stopped caring enough to move. And so, you learn to hold it in, suck it in, stand a little taller, tell yourself you're fine. But you're not. You want to know if it's really that bad? Look at your comfort. Look at my comfort. Look at the space you live in, the corners you stopped seeing. Because this stove, this is the truth I've been avoiding. You see the slump, you see the layers of rot, layers of abandonment, layers of disappointment. Every ring on the stovetop is a day I said tomorrow. Every stain is a promise I made to myself and broke. The hardest part is that there's no one else to blame. No villain in this story. No one did this to me. I did this to me. I am the one who stopped showing up for myself. I'm the one who let it pile up. And yet I still want more. I still dream of being something, of being the next big thing, of mattering to the world. But how can I build something great on top of something I've left fall apart? You know, the first time real responsibility I ever had, the first time I felt like I was trusted as something was cleaning the kitchen. I remember asking my parents for more responsibility, more trust, and they looked at me and said, "Alright, then the kitchen is yours, before we cook and after." And I remember how that felt. It felt like a promotion, like I had been given a title, a role, I was in charge of something, in control of my own mess. But it was more than that. I wasn't just cleaning up after myself. I was helping clean up after everyone. And in that small, mundane act, I felt useful. I felt like I mattered. Like my contribution, however small, was holding something together. Funny how the things that ground us are never the big things. It's never the achievement or the applause. It's the sponge in your hand at 3 a.m. on a Tuesday. It's a slow, quiet act of putting something back in order. I think that's why we never leave the lows, because in a strange way there's a comfort in them. You tell yourself it can't get worse than this, right? And in that thought there's a relief, a ceiling to the pain. So you stay, not because you want to, but because the lows have become familiar, and the familiar feels like home, even when it's hurting you. I've been thinking a lot about that. How we settle into our worst habits like they're furniture. You stop noticing them, they just become a part of you, a part of the room, part of the layout of your life. And one day someone walks in or worse, you walk into your own kitchen with fresh eyes and see what everyone else has been seeing. But standing here, wiping something that should have been scrubbed weeks ago, I realized that the comfort was a lie. The lows weren't protecting me, they were bearing me. Every day I stayed still, another settled. On the stove, on my body, on my spirit. The thing about cleaning is it's not just the stove you're scrubbing. You're scrubbing through every excuse you told yourself. Every, not today, or what's the point? You're peeling back the neglect layer by layer, and underneath all of it, there's still a surface, still something worth seeing. I think about the people who love me, the people who have watched me sit in a slump and didn't say anything. Not because they didn't care, but because they knew I had to see it for myself. You can't drag someone out of their lows. They have to stand up on their own. And standing up, that first push off the floor is the hardest part. Here's something no one tells you about cleaning. It's not about the result, it's about the act, the repetition, the rhythm of it. There's something almost meditative about it. Your hands moving, your mind follows. And somewhere between the first wipe and the last, something shifts, not dramatically, not like a movie moment, more like a quiet click, like a door you didn't know was closed, just opening a crack. And you realize you're not just cleaning a stove, you're making a decision. You're choosing in a small, unglamorous way to show up for yourself. For no audience, for no reward, just because the stove is dirty and you are alive. And those two things don't have to coexist anymore. Maybe that's what starting looks like. Not a grand gesture, not a declaration, just a sponge on a late Tuesday night, an early Tuesday morning actually, just deciding that the mess doesn't get to me today. And I'll be honest, the stove isn't perfect. There are marks that won't come out, burns that have been there longer than I'll like to admit, but it's cleaner. It's better. And right now, better is enough. Better is the whole point. Then came the next promotion, the next level of care, something I fell in love with long before I understood why. I grew up watching my parents cook, watching the way my mother moved through the kitchen like it was choreography, every reach, every stir, every pinch of seasoning timed to something I couldn't hear, but she could feel. There was a grace to it, a confidence she never measured at anything. It was all in her hands, in her intuition, like the food was talking to her, and she was just listening. My father was different, more methodical, more precise, but no less present. He treated cooking like a craft, like something you respected by doing it right. And watching both of them, I learned that there wasn't one way to care. There were many, so people care loudly, some people care with a sharp knife and a steady hand. I remember the shows we used to watch, sitting with my mom watching Hell's Kitchen, Gordon Ramsay losing his mind over risotto, the drama, the yelling, the roast fish sent back and forth. I loved every second of it. Finding out the actual way to say microwave, that one rewired my brain, honestly. And come dine with me, the pettiness of it. People pretending their cooking was better than it was, rating each other with straight faces while serving burnt garlic bread, or using a whole potato just to make one chip. The narrator's voice carrying the kind of shade that could feel paint off the wall. Those were good shows. Those were good nights, great nights. Simple, full. Me learning without even realizing I was learning. I think that's where it started for me. Not in the kitchen, but on a couch, watching someone else cook and feeling something stir. A curiosity, a pull. Like, I want to try that. I want to know what that feels like. To take raw things and turn them into something warm. Turn them into a home-cooked meal. first thing I ever cooked, the first thing I made with my own hands was eggs. That's it, eggs. Nothing complicated, nothing that would make a chef nod in approval, just eggs. But it was everything, because cooking, even something as simple as this, is an act of care. It's a promotion in responsibility, a higher charge. You are no longer just cleaning up. You are creating something. You are nourishing something. You are nourishing yourself. I remember being nervous. The first time, nervous over eggs. Can you imagine? Standing at the stove like it was a final exam, terrified, breaking the yolk, terrified of burning it. And my mom standing behind me, not just hovering, just there, present, letting me figure it out, but close enough to catch me if I need catching. That's what care looks like, by the way. Not a simmering toilet for you, someone standing close enough that you know you're not alone while you learn. The way I learned to make an egg was scrambled. Crack it and pour it all into a bowl and beat it till it's a little more liquidy. Of course, you gotta add some salt and some pepper. Give it a little bit of flavor. Turmeric, I add it to almost everything now. That golden dust, it doesn't just season the food, it colors it. It transforms it, turns plain scrambled eggs into something that looks like it was made on purpose, like it was considered. And I think that's what I'm chasing, not perfection, just intention. Just doing things on purpose instead of letting them happen to me, instead of planning for it. That's why I'm here, 3 a.m. on a Tuesday, making eggs, talking to myself. There's a line between surviving and living. And I think for a long time I've been on the wrong side of it. Surviving is eating whatever is fastest. Living is standing here, beating eggs, adding turmeric, choosing salt over nothing. It's small, but it's a choice. And choices are how you build a life. Listen to that. That sound, that sizzle. There's something almost alive about it. The oil talking to the food, the heat doing its work, and you just stand there and watch and wait and trust the process. been bad at that. Trusting the process. I want things fast. I want the result before the work. I want the channel to blow up before I've earned it. I want the body before I put in the reps. I want the clean kitchen without the scrubbing. But that's not how any of it works, is it? The onions don't caramelize in 10 seconds. They take time. They take patience. They take heat. They take presence. You have to be here for it. You can't walk away and expect something beautiful to be waiting when you come back. Caring for yourself and caring for the people you love, that's what a home-cooked meal is. It's not about the recipe, it's not about the technique, it's about the Instagram photo or the plating or whether someone on the same internet thinks your eggs looks professional enough. It's about the decision. The decision to say I'm worth feeding. The people in my life are worth feeding. And I'm going to stand here in this kitchen and do something about it. I think about all the meals I skipped, all the nights I told myself I wasn't hungry when really I just didn't want to. I just didn't think it was worth the effort. I didn't think I was worth the effort. All the times I grabbed something cheap and fast and ate it standing up, not even tasting it, just fueling a body I wasn't even taking care of. That's not eating. That's maintenance. That's keeping the engine running without ever checking the oil. Honestly, I wouldn't even class that as maintenance. That's just meeting standards, doing the bare minimum. You know, I think starting is adding salt and pepper into your life, honestly. Getting out of that boring routine and just adding a little bit of spice. I read somewhere that the difference between a good scrambled eggs and great scrambled eggs is patience. Low heat, constant movement, never walking away. And I think there's a lesson in that too. The things we care about need us to stay. They need us to keep showing up, keep stirring, keep adjusting the heat. You can't just set it and forget it. Not the eggs, not your health, not your life, not my life. So here's what this is. This is not a cooking channel, not really. I mean, there will be cooking, obviously. You just watch me make eggs for half an hour. But the cooking is not the point. The cooking is the vehicle. This is a commitment, a promise, not to you, not yet at least, but to myself at first. A commitment to cook a home-cooked meal, no matter how low I feel, no matter how busy the day has been, no matter how easy it would have been just to order something or skip the meal entirely. No matter how loud that voice in my head is telling me it doesn't matter, that I don't matter, that no one's going to see this anyway. The meal gets made every time, that's the rule. Some days it'll be simple, eggs and salt, rice and whatever is left. Some days it's something more, something complex, something artistic, something that takes time and patience, and maybe a recipe never tried before, something that scares me a little. But the meal gets made, that's the discipline, that's the self-love I'm learning to practice out loud. Because this isn't just about food, this is about responsibility. This is about showing up for yourself even when you don't feel like it. Even if it's 3 a.m. on a Tuesday, especially when you don't feel like it. It's about building something from the ground up, starting from a dirty stove and a tired body saying, this is where I begin. And I want you to see that, the mess, the starting point, the imperfect first attempt, because I think we've been sold this lie that you have to have it figured out before you start sharing. That you need the perfect setup, the perfect lighting, the perfect recipe, but I don't have any of that. I have a kitchen, I have an iPhone 11, and a decision. And I think that's enough. I think that has to be enough. The production will get better. The cooking will get better. I hope. I will get better. But we start here. We start now. And we start honest. And if you're watching this, if you somehow found your way here to this kitchen, to this moment, I want to ask you something. Stay. Not because you owe me anything. Not because this video was perfect. It wasn't. But stay because maybe you saw a little bit of yourself in this. In the dirty stove, in the belly you've been hiding, in the lows you've been living in, calling it comfort. Maybe you've been asking yourself the same question I asked at the beginning of this video. How do I start? Join me not because I have all the answers, I clearly don't. I just made scrambled eggs and called it a breakthrough. But maybe we figure it out together. Maybe we both learn, cook a little better. Maybe the videos get better. Maybe the food gets better. Maybe we get better together, one meal at a time. I want to grow from this. I want to regain the spark I used to have as a kid, that feeling of standing in the kitchen and believing that I was doing mattered, that I was doing something important, that I was enough. I want to feel like I mean something to this world again. And maybe, just maybe, if you're watching this, it means I already do. Even if it's just to one person, even if it's just to me. So how do I start? I think maybe like this.